Hello everyone and welcome to my video on how to be an ADC. This is the second time I'm going to be trying this. The first video I made on how to be an ADC, it wasn't really in full depth like I am going to be doing with this video. This video I'm going to put it into 5 separate parts, and you'll see as this video goes along on what parts they are. From anything that has to do with the laning phase, to early game engages, to mechanics, to team fights, and to what the term carry really means. So it's 5 parts. So at the early game, it really depends on what you want to do. Our Rammus jungler, he called a invade, which is what we do. We do end up focusing the right people. We take out Lux first, and then we take out a volley, which is the right people we need to focus. And then Sona ends up backing off. We do end up stealing the blue, and so on and so forth. Very good invade to start the game, especially going up 2-0 in the first minute. So I hope you guys liked the video. Alright, this part in particular is very important because it can depict on pretty much how the rest of your game will go. So starting off is going to be last hitting. As you can see, in this video I do a fairly decent job of last hitting. All you got to do is just let the lane pretty much keep itself in place and then just last hit the minion. Make sure you know how much your basic attack is and then take it off of that. So as you can see, I'm taking the minions in the back while my minions take rid of the strongest minion out of all of them, the smallest one besides the super minions. So last hitting is very important. I cannot stress this enough. Last hitting is the key in the laning phase, or even to help even early game engages, because the more levels you have over your opponents, the more chances you will be able to get to take out your enemy team during the laning phase. So now I'm just going to go into early game engages. If a fight breaks out pre-level 6, you're going to want to be sure you can handle the situation. You never want to go down in the lane early. Yes, in this game in particular, we do end up obviously invading, and we do have the upper advantage, so that gives us a big advantage. Since we were already 1-0-1, both Nid, we're both 1-0-1, that gave me a big level increase to start off the game, so I'm gonna be out leveling them pretty much every time. But if you do not last hit or CS or anything like that, they will definitely catch up in levels. So yeah, if a fight breaks out, just be safe. In the laning phase, you don't want to be too crazy. Just be smart. Pick your fights wisely. Don't go in alone, or let others go in alone. And make sure if you die, don't let the other person die. Make sure it's a 1-for-1 trade in the lane. Never try to lose a fight 2-1 or take out let them take out 2 of your champs in the bot lane and have only take out 1 of theirs. So we keep a lot of pressure in early game, as if that's what I would do. Now, as for the laning phase, your support is your best friend. They should go everywhere with you. They should assist you in everything, as you should do the same for them. Support isn't just a backseat role like a mom watching her son at a hockey game. It is a strong defensive backbone-like role. It acts just like its name implies. Support helps you in everything you do, in every way. If you neglect your support, you lose your lane. Simple as that. Respect your support. Don't just let them die during a fight. If you can help them live and don't argue, definitely do not argue if they don't ward consistently. It's just going to end up in a fight, and then you guys will not work well together. Always respect your support. That is just the #1 thing. They are doing the best they can with what they have. As you know, as being the ADC, you do get all the CS and you do get the kills, mostly. So they can only get so much amount of gold, depending on what support they have is how much gold they will pretty much get. So always try during the laning phase, be courteous of your words towards your support. They are your best friend, like I said. So during the laning phase, you should always keep up with your enemies, CS and the build. Always try to stay at least 20 CS ahead of them, and do not give up a lead. Do not give them a chance to catch up, and never take recalls for granted. That short amount of time you spent is gone, and is enough time for them to catch up, and maybe even gank organized by the team you return by the time you return. That means if your support is still in the lane, they can gank your support and pretty much change the game right then and there. So think about how much time you spend away basing and deaths. A great time of this is spent away is particular during respawn. So back to laning. Stay in the lane for as long as possible. Why? Because the longer you sit in the lane, CS, and keep the enemy at bay, the better. As stated before, minions are the source of your gold. They are more valuable than kills. And I said this a lot in my top lane video. Never forget this during the early game, and don't listen to anyone who tells you otherwise. Yes, getting a kill makes up for about 2 waves of minions, but CSing is very important during the laning phase. Never take for granted of all the XP you could be getting, and do not let them catch up. Now, as for the mechanics and build order, this is going to be basically what you can do to change the game. So I'm going to start with build order. So to start off, really, an item priority is also going to be another key thing. When going back to base for your first big purchase, always think of what can happen once you get back to lane. I mean, in this video in particular, I do end up getting a Bloodthirster my first back. I had almost 4k gold because I stayed in lane as long as I can, and I farmed up. So usually with Jinx, it's the builds pretty much depict on what ADC you choose. Like if I was Jinx, I always go Bloodthirster. I do like the extra the lifesteal, first of all, that they just added in the new patch, and I also like the barrier that it gives me for the amount of damage that I've been putting up against minions or any champion. So, and you can also, another option, which you definitely do get a bunch more damage off of it, is Infinity Edge, which Infinity Edge offers a crit chance, which is a critical strike. So that's also another option you can do. Instead of the Bloodthirster, you can definitely get the Infinity Edge and also get more lifesteal. So that is one thing I usually do. I end up getting also Static Shiv. Most champs, I'll also start Doran's Blade at the beginning. That's just really preferable over most champions that I've seen. So it just really depends. That's basically that. So right now I'm just going to get into mechanics really quick. Also, you can also look up builds on mobilefire.net, I think it is. That where I get it. You can probably just Google it, mobilefire.com, I think it is, or either .net or .com, one of those. That's where I mostly get my builds. And I found getting Static Shiv, Bloodthirster, and some other items like Blade of the Rune King helps me out a lot. So mechanics, you should never be in the front of a fight, ever. I cannot stress this enough. Your job is to stay back and to provide the most damage possible for your team, as they help peel the enemy team for you, and your APC to kill, which is also an ability power carry. Mechanics are the little things that go into actual playing, such as map awareness, dodging, threat perception, and analysis. Threat perception is one of the most important of those mechanics, as if you properly gauge the level of danger or the consequence an action will yield, then you will have a much higher understanding of the situation and be likely to react to it accordingly or even ahead of time. So think it before you act will end up saving you a death and also even landing you a kill. That's basically what the mechanics are of ADC. It's just the basic stuff, just knowing where everyone is and being aware. Okay, so as for team fights are concerned, team fights are very important. They mainly happen around mid lane after the laning phase is done, when people start going mid lane to start taking down turrets and start pushing very hard to start changing start changing the flow of the game, really, to pretty much make the difference in winning the game. Now, I'm not saying it is the difference maker. Team fights are important, but it's good to know on who to focus during the fight. So as that last fight is concerned, I do end up focusing the wrong person. That was completely my fault. And you'll see right here as well. We end up not focusing Teemo until the last person, and I think that's why he was late. So it's always important to focus the ADC first, because as you know, and as I've explained throughout this whole video, really, the ADC provides a lot of damage and it provides a lot of lifesteal. So that person will be likely to survive the most, especially late game and especially during team fights, because they will have the lifesteal and the attack speed to get out of any really situation, regardless of the damage. Unless if it's like a 5v1, you definitely will not lose a 5v1 against an ADC. It just will not happen. Unless if they're godly fed and they're like 20 levels ahead. But that's most likely not the case. So knowing who to focus is very important. ADC usually is first, and then go after the APC, which is usually the mid laner. Mid laners consistently tend to be ability power champions. And then always focus the top laner, because that is also other attack damage carry, but they're not attack speed oriented, they're more tanky. Now if it's like Nasus or anyone like that, you don't want to focus them. You can focus the support. Always focus the tanks last. The tanks are the very most the most champions you'd want to focus last, because they're obviously the tanky champs that just take and soak up damage. That's what they're built to do. The tanks is why they're there. So right here coming up, we do have a big team fight, just me and Nid, really. So I do end up hitting Teemo right there. Volley comes in, starts taking us out. Now, yes, right here, Volley ends up coming, and we do take him out first, but that is the only reason why we went after him first, is because he was the only one there, so you might as well take him out. So we end up going Lux, which is the APC mid laner. We end up taking out Sonya. We should have gone Teemo first, but they both technically still have the same amount of health, which is a big deal, because Teemo does end up taking out the most damage, which is very important to focus. Now, as my last part is concerned, what does the term carry really even mean? Carry means carrying the team as to force victory. It's not to have the most amount of attack damage and the most amount of attack speed and the most amount of lifesteal to just get as many kills as you can. No. You're pretty much supposed to secure the victory as the ADC. As you can see, I get the triple kill right there, and then we do end up taking the game right there. I do end up supporting my team is because they supported me. I help support them, and that's what our job is supposed to be doing as an ADC. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please comment, rate, subscribe, and thank you for watching. My next video is how to be a support.